Hi everybody, this is Marta Mama and I'm here to explain you all the references about Drag Race España Season 4. And today we have our favorite episode, the Snatch Game. Yo, this was such a good episode, such a good Snatch Game, and the runway was crazy. So, let's get into it. So, first of all, as we know, every time we have the Snatch Game episode, we also have the reading challenge. And yeah, the girls were funny, some of them. And obviously, Le Coco won. Because as we know, every single confessional little clip that they put of her, she is a shady queen. But there's this thing where you don't feel like she's ever being mean, even if she's always angry and always, you know what I mean? So yeah, Le Coco is the winner of the reading challenge, and we get to know that this episode will be the Snatch Game, and we also get to know that the guest judge this week will be Valeria Vegas. Valeria Vegas, who is she? If you have watched Veneno, the character of Valeria, the writer of Veneno's biography, is Valeria, and it is inspired, and this is the real character of Valeria. And in fact, if you have watched Veneno, there is a little scene where the other Valeria, the actress, is interviewing for a job, and the woman that is there, like in the newspaper where she's applying for, that woman is the real Valeria Vegas. So if you're familiar with the scene, if you have not watched Veneno, I don't know what you're doing with your life. I watch Veneno like once a month, the whole thing. I do a marathon. You have to. You should. I'm not talking to you until you do. So whatever you're doing, just stop what you're doing and go watch Veneno. Okay? You're welcome. So the guests for the Snatch Game are Lala Chus and Kid. These are influencers. They have podcasts or social media, and they're the type of content that LGBTQ people love and adore, and they're funny and they're witty and they're super kind and nice. So yeah, these are the guests. Let's go over the characters to see who they are and how well they did, because this is probably the one episode where this video is kind of important. So first off, we have Meggy Yellow doing Urena. Urena was the guest judge for the All-Stars Snatch Game, I believe. She is this character. She became very, very famous 10, 15, 20 years ago, and being like a trash TV character. She's supposed to be a singer, but she's more known for everything else, like being on all these TV shows. She was she always went everywhere with her mom. Her mom was known to hit people with her purse, like the paparazzi and all that, and she used to have like a brick in the, that's like, she has all these jokes. And this character, she's called either originally she was called Tamara, but she changed her name many times. Then it was Urena Ambar, was she? Or I don't know, like she had several names, but this is like Tamara Urena. How well did she do? From my perspective, I thought it was mid. It was not very good. Nothing was wrong. She did okay. The wig looked very cheap, and like everything looked very cheap, but Urena usually looked very cheap. I think Meggy did okay, but it was a very strong Snatch Game, because we had like multiple possible winners and a lot of people doing very good. So for the mix, I think that she was one of the mid or worse Snatch Games over there. Second character is Miss Cristo doing Elenia. Elenia is another trash TV character. She became very famous because she started appearing in a lot of reality TV shows. We had a version of Jersey Shore here in Spain called Gandia Shore. Gandia is like a little town in the beach in Spain. So we had their own version of that, and then that's where Elenia became famous, and from there she appeared in many other reality TV shows. And I am not familiar with this character too much because I do not watch regular Spanish TV. I'm very sorry. But what I know of Elenia is that she became like a very big like homophobe and transphobe, like a shitty person, and that's what she does now. She just like bashes LGBT community online, when precisely gay men are the one that made her famous. Well, you know, typical thing. So how did Miss Cristo do as Elenia? Very bad. It was not her energy. She's very like feisty. She is very like, she insults everyone, and she's very nasty as well. And Miss Cristo did not capture her at all. And there's like a lot of like, you know, the typical phrases that the famous person says. Well, she didn't do any of the famous things that this girl said. Well, a couple of them, but yeah, it was the first time I believe Miss Cristo did a character in this way. So it's completely understandable that she didn't do too well, because I think this is a very, very difficult challenge. Le Coco as Anna Looking. I think none of us thought that anyone could do Anna Looking in the Snatch game and be this successful. She created this character that is not 100% Anna Looking, but she developed the little bit we know about Anna Looking and created like her own version, and she could have won perfectly. This was hands down. You don't need me to explain the reference of Anna Looking. You can see how well she was doing and how much she, like, I don't know, even when she was not talking or when it wasn't her turn, like she was like, I don't know, saying to the guests, like, oh, I love you, you're gay, I love gay people, and like all that, like all the, not only the over, but like even more, even further. I think she did amazing, and she could have won, maybe should have won, I don't know. Mariana Stars obviously did absolutely amazing. She was La Doctora Polo. This is the Latino version of Judge Judy. There's this TV show called Caso Cerrado, like closed case in English it would be. And this is the judge, and she's very known for like screaming and interrupting and all that. For us in Spain, we haven't watched this TV show. We're not too familiar, but it is true that from this TV show, there are a lot of memes that have come, like little clips, like all that. Maybe, I don't know, maybe people from here, maybe we have not watched Dr. Phil, but you are familiar with him and some of the clips, and you can play him. It's kind of like that. So there's one specific clip about this TV show where this girl went in, and this girl was a Latino girl, but she refused to speak in Spanish, and she only wanted to speak in English. And that's where like a big percentage of the jokes come from. Like, your name is not Moon, your name is Luna, and all those things. That's like from this one very famous clip from Caso Cerrado. Mariana did an amazing job. Yeah, this is not an easy character to do, but I think she did very well. She's such a professional. She changed her face completely. I don't know, 10s across the board. She is the winner. She did amazing. Explaining who La Niña de Lantro's character is a little more difficult. So, La Niña de Lantro is playing El Nen de Castefa. El Nen de Castefa is a fictional character. And it's not a fictional character from a TV show or a movie. It's a fictional character that started appearing in one of these late night shows. Around the same time, it was quite popular in Spain. Like, you know when they interview people on the street? And sometimes it's in the news, and that little clip becomes super viral. Well, in Spain there was like a time in history, well, they interviewed people on the streets, but it wasn't necessarily the news. It was programs that were looking for that viral clip. So maybe they would go to a rave and start interviewing people at the rave. You know what I mean? So you have people under the influence of several substances being like super funny and playful, and that became like super famous around that time. So they started creating in this late night show this comedy character that was a parody of all those type of interviews that were going really viral. So this character is like it's not exactly being a raver, but around this like 20 years ago in this very specific area of Spain, it was very, very famous. All of these clubs that were playing like electronic music, but like techno, we call it La Ruta del Bacalao, the cod route. And that's where like people used to party around all this area. And it was like all a very, very similar type of music. And people would hang out in the parking lots with the cars, like with the big sound systems inside of each car, and that was like a parallel party to the actual party inside of the clubs, and it was like a whole scene, right? So this is that character. This is one of those like raver kind of boys that are under the influence of a lot of sentences and that are completely over the top. La Niña did very, very, very well. But as the judges said afterwards, the original Neng de Castefa was already like this or more exaggerated because it is a parody of a character that is already like a parody of themselves. It's so difficult to explain. So even if you see that La Niña del Lantro is so over the top and that she doesn't stop and that she's doing all these outrageous things, the normal Neng Castefa that we know from like the late night shows was even more over the top. So she did very, very well, and she was funny and she was over the top. But it's very difficult when you're doing like a parody of a character that is already a parody of a real person that is already outrageous. So that is Nena Castefa. It was a good choice. I think that she did quite well because it's a difficult character, and she somehow created all the good moments for all the other ones, like with the dildo, or she started like white powder everywhere, white powder on Angelita's jacket. Like she created a lot of good moments for all the other ones. But maybe it wasn't like a winning performance, but in my opinion, it wasn't a bottom performance whatsoever. Angelita la Perversa played Gloria Serra. This is a journalist that is always on TV for like investigation things. So like a crime has been committed, or this company is doing some illegal stuff. Let's go in with like secret spy cameras and let's, that type of show. And she speaks with a very specific voice, and we're all very familiar with it. It's one of the classic impersonations that everyone does when you have to impersonate someone. It's this journalist who is always on TV and that speaks in a very Angelita did quite poorly here. She didn't look like her. She didn't sound like her. She couldn't really play too much with the other people. She could have, but she sat there waiting for her moment. So when no one was asking her, she wasn't really in it, and she felt like she did poorly because no one was helping her or playing with her or all that. I really like when people take responsibility and are accountable for their own actions, but it wasn't very successful, and for whatever reason she didn't do very well. Yo, can you hear that? That's my washing machine. It has its own song. It never stops. So next was Vampirasian. Vampirasian played Mario Vaquerizo. I thought Vampirasian was going to win. Who is Mario Vaquerizo? Mario Vaquerizo is a musician, a singer from the group Las Nancy's Rubias, the blonde Nancy's, like the doll, like the Nancy doll. And he is the husband of Alaska. You know, Alaska is the Spanish singer, like this pop gay icon. She is the author of the little song that they sing at the end of every episode, like, ¿a quién le importa lo que yo haga? ¿A quién le importa lo que yo diga? Blah, blah, blah. She was also a guest judge in season 1. Like, she's a very important person for the gays in Spain, even though she has been linked to very conservative politicians. So, you never know. And her husband is this other singer from the same, like, punk rock generation after Franco died and all that. But he is like the fruitiest man ever. So he's doing the whole time, he's playing like, am I gay? No, I'm not gay. But I'm gay, but I'm not gay. Because this man is, if you see him, it's the definition of like very fruity, effeminate man. But they've been a couple forever. They even had their own reality TV show where it was just them in their house with their family with doing stuff, and now I fall, and now I drink a beer, and now... Imagine if, like, how can I explain it? Because I was going to say, like, Dolly Parton. Imagine with how important she is for the gays. You can even imagine Dolly being conservative, even she's not, but you can even imagine that type of, like, famous singer for the gays. And imagine that she is married to a character that it looks and seems very, very gay, but he's not. Another thing is that Mario Vaquerizo is 100% linked to very, very conservative politicians in Madrid, even if he's like the fruitiest punk rock singer from the 80s and all this, he is linked to like a lot of very conservative politicians, unapologetically, like he doesn't care. So yeah, it is this character. Bumpy did so well. You cannot see Bumpy anywhere. It was just Mario. I was convinced Bumpy was going to win. She should have. She was super funny, super witty. She had the character down, like everything. It was also funny how they blurred the alcohol. Shout out to Billet Boy. He asked me, like, why are they blurring the alcohol? Okay, Spanish TV, like, drugs are not allowed, and tobacco and alcohol are drugs. So they're usually not allowed. Like, for example, there's some TV shows where you would not see, even like an Instagram Live, if you just smoke a cigarette, they will ban you. Or, in many TV shows, you cannot be seen drinking alcohol, whatever. But, I don't know, this is behind a paywall, and we've seen, like, not only this episode a dildo, but we have seen, like, full frontal nude from Marina season 2 in her Ocaña runway. We have seen a lot of, like, a real actual penis without it being blurred out or anything. So it's kind of weird that this was blurred out. And it was not blurred like WOWPresents Plus, because I watched it live in Atresplayer and it was heavily pixelated. And that's weird. It's not like just the blurry thing, so you cannot see the brand. No, they like pixelated the whole thing. I don't know if it was like intentionally trying to be funny, because in another TV shows they blur it. I don't know what it was, but I saw it in Atresplayer. I saw it live in the Spanish network, and I saw something blurred for the first time. I know if you guys watch it in WOWPresents Plus, they always blur out a lot of stuff. They blur out nipples, they blur out asses. We never have anything blurred out except for this, which I find just hilarious. Chloe Vitu played Amaya. Amaya is another of the characters, just like last week's guest judge. Amaya is one of the contestants of this singing show. Like the American Idol, the Spanish version is called Operación Triunfo. Actually, our Spanish version is started a lot before any other country's type of reality TV contest singing thing. And Amaya is one of the contestants from one of the latest editions. Amaya is one of the characters from this TV show. She is a singer, but she was like the girl next door and all that. And she is the most naive person ever. She's very childlike, but in her naivete, it's like she would say anything because she's so naive that she doesn't get that there are things that shouldn't be said at a certain moment. So it is true that she's so naive that she maybe says something that is really gross or is inappropriate and she doesn't get it just because that's how naive she is. But Chloe took it to the extreme and she started saying like very, very nasty things. I think she made it funny. She made her naive. Like, it made sense. But it was not one of the strongest of the night. So let's go with the runway. The category this season is Rural Fashion Week. And can we talk about how difficult it is to pronounce the word rural? If you're Spanish, it's rural. Rural and murderer are words are very, very difficult to pronounce. But yeah, I do it for you. Rural Fashion Week. Miss Cristo chose to, like, this is just amazing. This is just wow. Like, this look is so cool. All the dress is made with crochet, which is obviously a very traditional technique that old ladies use. And in her inspiration, she decided to go with like wasps or bees with this headpiece done with like braiding techniques. It looks so cool. Like, this dress, you can say anything about Miss Cristo. This dress is like a 10 out of 10. This is so cool, very successful, very appropriate for the runway because you're really using the materials. And she's talking about the fact that in fashion, the biggest luxury that you can have nowadays is things that are handmade, and crochet is always handmade. There are no machines that can do real crochet, so anytime you buy anything that is crocheted, know that there was a human being behind that. So yeah, it was a very interesting concept, discussion, execution, and final look. Very, very successful. This is just amazing. Next one is Angelita. Angelita looks amazing in this look. She's talking about el luto, the grief. Here in rural Spain, there still is many times a very tight tradition around grief. When someone in your family dies, it is traditional that the widow, as well as all the other women in the family, especially the women in the family, will dress in black for a certain amount of time to show their grief. That amount of time was many times even years. So you would see this woman that once the husband died would just dress in black until the end of her life, 20 years, 40 years later. It's something quite traditional that it's still done sometimes. There are other traditions around grief. You didn't only dress in black, but you would cover the mirrors, which is something that comes from the Jewish, I believe, tradition. Certain things that you couldn't do. You couldn't listen to music, you couldn't have fun, you couldn't go to places all the time. That the grief, that was like a stupid amount of time. You could choose if it was days long or if it was years long or if it was the rest of your life and all that. So she decided to do this homage to the grief tradition, thinking about her grandma. I think that, you know, she has a difficult face sometimes to look nice, but the dress is nice. This was like a Dior type silhouette and a lot of different fabrics, and it was okay. This look by Maggie Yellow, you guys, are we... She decided that her rural concept was flowers. And this is the look. Next. La Niña del Lantro was like a little rat, and she was wearing something that said Arroces la rata. La Niña del Lantro comes from the region in Spain where paella comes from. Like, rice is very important in their culture. And one of the things that she explained is that after the Civil War in Spain in the 40s, there was this huge famine where everyone was very, very hungry. And the people from her region were known because they went to the places where, like, the marshlands and all that, and they would hunt for rats, and that's what they would use to make their rice, just in order to survive because of the famine. So she decided to do this rat that is cooking like a paella, and in the little thing it said arroces la rata. They talk about this a couple times, but she wrote arroces incorrectly. It's supposed to be written with a C instead of a Z. But she said that she did it on purpose, which I think is very cool and amazing. And I don't care about spelling errors, but they do make fun of her for that in the episode, so that's why. And yeah, I think this look was very successful. I really like that they use the traditional fabric underneath. This fabric is very difficult to make match, and I think that they made it very interesting with like the different panels that they used. She looks very cute, very, I don't know. I think it was a very good look for La Niña de Lantro. Chloe Vitu's look was one of the best looks that we have seen, period. She decided to use bread as a theme for her look because in her region, she's from Catalunya, from the region of Barcelona. One of the very traditional foods that they eat is pan tumaca, which is just bread with like a fresh tomato. You just rub it and you put a little olive oil on it. It's just very good, simple, rural country food that you would have any time of the day. And she decided to pay homage to this. This dress is just amazing. She looks so good. If I could tolerate gluten, I would eat her completely. 10 out of 10. This is one of the best looks ever. Bumpy's look was also very personal and emotional. She was talking about her grandma who passed away. She had talked about her before. I believe she grew up with her, and she passed away before she could explain who she really was to her grandma. This look decided to use very humble material, and she even used little pictures of her grandma in her skirt, like a little patch, like patchwork with pictures, which is like very symbolic and, you know, a metaphor in general. I think she looked gorgeous. When Javi Calvo said like she was one of the best in the Snatch game, but her dress was like not one of her favorites, I was just like, oh, so you're putting her in the same category as the other dresses that are ugly here? Because I don't believe they belong in the same category. I don't know. I just love Bumpy so much. I think Bumpy is the type of person that from day one, like, I want to hug her so bad. I am just obsessed with her energy. I understand her. I love her very much. I think she's one of the best things that has happened to this season. I think she's doing amazing. She's one of the very few queens that have not been in the bottom yet. And I don't know, I'm very, very happy and proud for the season that she's, like, I don't know, I just love Bumpy so much. You know, I'm always going to be biased with the people I love. Le Coco is, of course, my other favorite one, and she did this dress. This dress is made with this natural leaf of a palm tree, la palma, a palma. In many regions of Spain, maybe in the whole of Spain, around Easter, there is this Sunday at the beginning of Easter. So you guys celebrate Easter for one day, probably. For us, it's like a whole week / 10 days. So Easter starts on a Sunday, starts on a Friday, really, and ends not this Sunday, but the next Sunday. The first Sunday of Easter is called the Palm Tree Sunday. I don't know how, Palm Leaf Sunday. I don't know how you guys call it, or if there is a synonym in your country, but since that was supposed to be the day that Jesus Christ came into Jerusalem, and they all received him, welcomed him with like palm leaves, saying like yay, and this is like the symbol of you welcoming Jesus, I guess, for Easter and all these things. You know, our Easter is full of symbols, like biblic symbols, and this palm tree leaf is used in many different things. You would decorate the outside of your home with it. You would use it to do like even some traditional pastry. Like, you would use it for many different things. So she took that and she made a whole outfit out of it. She says that she's from Madrid, that she hasn't even ever seen a real chicken in real life. But she looks amazing. I love what she did with the hair with this. The tight red hair with like the nest with the eggs on top. I don't know. I am just obsessed with Le Coco. I think that if you really, really love drag, you are obsessed with Le Coco. It's like she is so drag. And what she does so well. And you guys, I love drag so much. I had almost forgotten after all this like drag race shit how much I really love drag. And Coco is so amazing at just drag that I'm so obsessed with her. She just knows who she is and she delivers it correctly with confidence and a meaning behind it, and just like being cheeky and being smart and being witty. That's all I've ever asked for. And I am obsessed with Le Coco. I am obsessed with her. Of course, I love Bumpy and I love what she's doing in the competition. And maybe Le Coco will not win. I don't know who's gonna win. I don't give a damn. But for me, in my opinion, the person that can do drag the best in probably all of the seasons is Le Coco. Like, she is so good at drag. I'm obsessed. So, 10 out of 10, Le Coco, this episode, for me. Maybe. Mariana, of course, did amazing. Love her. But for me, the look plus the Snatch game was enough to win the whole episode. So, and Mariana Stars, this look was also super cool. She told everyone that she grew up in like a cow farm and around cows. So this was the look where she wanted to talk about like her hometown, her homeland, her family, her country. She comes from a different country. I know people from her family and her friends helped her sew this, and it was a very, very special piece for her because it had a lot of meaning behind it. And she grew up in a farm, so when you're talking about like rural fashion week, there's a lot of identity behind it, and it just looks amazing. I love what she did with like the headpiece thing. I don't know. Mariana, everything she does it perfectly too. Like, I also love her drag, and she's such a draggy drag. It is true that I'm more used to the Spanish traditional type of drag of Le Coco, but Mariana as well, she's so good at doing drag that is just outstanding. So amazing look, amazing performance for the Snatch game, very well deserved win, but it could have been Le Coco and it could have been Vampiración easily. So shout out to the producers of Drag Race. I believe this is the first season where we've come so far without knowing who's going to win. I think that they've been listening. Because the first season, it was so clearly, like, Carmen was so clearly above everyone else. They thought that that was what the people wanted to see. So that's why they repeated for all the other seasons. But we haven't liked that ever, really. We want to be kind of surprised. But we want it to make sense, right? We want the people that are doing good to be rewarded and to be loved and showcased, and the people that do bad to go home. It's not like a crazy thing. This season, you know, sometimes you may not agree with who's in the top, who's in the bottom, like all that. Like, there's people that are not in the bottom for reasons that they should. Like last season or 2 seasons ago, they would even stop the whole episode and say, we are not going to tolerate the beard and this look and this other look and whatever. And this year in the runway, they are tolerating it, which I am okay with. Like, I don't care about the quality of the drag. Like, I'm the one that defended Poopy Poison's looks. It's not about creating like the most impressive thing. Like, I'm not that type of drag person. I don't care if you're wearing a cheap ass thing. I care about the meaning behind and about the feeling that is behind and about who you are and about your identity, what you want to talk about, why you chose that, why you didn't. Like, that's what I care about. If you're doing something that means nothing, it's going to look so ugly. But if you also choose like ugly stuff to put on top of it, it's double ugly. So it's not about having better looks. It's about having a concept, knowing who you are, knowing what you look like, knowing who you are not, knowing who you want to be. Like, all these things are what I care about. And yeah, it's just, right now it's cool that we don't know who's going to win. But I would like some consistency also in, the results that we're having. But anyway, I don't care about the results. I don't care about who goes home. This is just another gig for them, and the best drag queen never wins because the best drag queen doesn't exist. So, safe, it's Maggie and Chloe, and I love how they stopped Maggie, said, okay, you are safe, but we're not going to allow any of this anymore. It's been a couple weeks with this happening. At least all of the weeks with this happening. Well, not the first one with the ball, but all the other ones, it's been like this. It's about time that, I don't know. If this quality was bringing like a crazy idea or a concept or why you're doing it this way or whatever, okay, but it's giving just writing drag queen and ChatGPT, and this is what you get. It's giving straight man putting on balloon titties for Halloween. Of course, every drag is valid, but we've seen people go home for very stupid reasons in this competition, and I'm just wondering, In the bottom we have Angelita, Miss Cristo, and Elenia de Lantro, was it? I don't understand Elenia de Lantro in the bottom, and Maggie safe, but I don't know. I understand that Chloe did a very good job and that look was amazing. Even if her snatch game wasn't 100% on point, this look was just amazing. So, I don't know. The top three were very, 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 very clearly Bumpy, Le Coco, and Mariana. And the winner is Mariana Stars. Very well deserved. She did just amazing. Me personally, as you know, I would have voted for Le Coco. But probably Mariana would have voted for Le Coco too, She just does drag so amazing. And Le Coco and Mariana, both of them are just... And Bumpy, oh my god. I still don't know who my favorite is. Is it Le Coco? Is it Bumpy? Is it Mariana? Is it La Niña? Like, I still don't know who my personal favorite is for the whole season. And I love that. That they are listening. The production, they are listening to our complaints, and they are listening. So be respectful, but be vocal about what you think, because they are listening. So Miss Cristo is the one to go home. I think Miss Cristo has brought amazing things this season. She has an understanding of fashion that is just amazing. But it is true that I can see that her drag language, because drag is a language, is probably through like photos more than real performance, or maybe like real performance, but like performance arts type of sphere. Many times it looks like she is a succession of photos instead of like a person acting in the moment. So yeah, that lip sync, she went home, and I don't know. I'm very glad that she was able to show everything that she brought, and I think that she's an outstanding artist, and I would have probably kept her. I don't know. Angelita did a very cool lip sync as well, very heartfelt, and yeah, it's just sad to see her leave, and yeah, I'm very happy for Mariana anyway, and for all of the girls. This was a very, very, very successful episode, very good runway, very good snatch game, and I hope that my explanations help you enjoy it a little bit more. So I want to say thank you to Paisley and to Iori one more week. If you want to support my channel, you have my PayPal account down below. You're very much appreciated. I'm sorry this week's episode is a little bit late. I'm just all over the place with my 3 jobs, my 2 kids, and there was this death around me, and it's been a difficult week. So I appreciate your support and your love. I'll see you next week for next week's episode. It's all about folklóricas next week, so you better tune in. So that's all for today. I love you all, and I hope you stay queer, okay? Stay queer, stay queer, stay queer.